Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Sophia and I love reading. It is somehow that time of the year again where we are going to be doing a little mid-year wrap-up in the form of the mid-year freakout tag. This seems to be a bit of a common recurrence in the booktube community. I think I've done it for 2 years now and it's just a really nice way to kind of have a little check-in in the middle of the year, see how I'm going, see how I'm working towards my goals, see potentially what books I've loved and what books I maybe haven't loved as much, as well as setting some reading goals for the second half of the year. I will leave the questions that I'm using today down in the description box below if you want to check them out. If you want to potentially answer a couple of them in the comments, I would love to hear how your 2025 reading year is going. And yeah, let's dive into this little mid-year wrap up. Now, embarrassingly, I set my reading goal for the year at 52 books. I figured, you know, one a week seems pretty manageable. How many weeks do you think we are into the year? 26, 27, maybe 28? I've read 17 books. Now, 17 books is nothing to sneeze at, nothing to be disappointed at. I saw something the other day that the average amount of books read by a person is 4 in a year, so 17 blows that out of the park. It's an incredible number. But for myself, I'm just kind of like, oh my god, I wish I could read more. But I do feel like I've finally found my groove again with reading. I was definitely in like a honestly 6-12 month reading slump, but I feel like I'm finally getting that momentum back. I'm actually wanting to pick up books. I'm actually wanting to sit down for solid lengths of time, and books are actually managing to keep my attention for longer than like a chapter. So I think we're a little bit on the mend. I don't know if I'll meet 52, but here's hoping. Question number 2 is asking for the best book that I have read so far this year, the best book of 2025 so far, and I had a glaringly obvious answer of Reign and Ruin by J.D. Evans. And before I tell you about this book, I want to dive into question 3. Question 2? Question 3? We'll pretend that my reading goal was a question. I want to dive into question 3, which is for the best sequel so far of 2025. And we're going to follow up Reign and Ruin with its sequel, Storm and Shield, also by J.D. Evans. I actually found Reign and Ruin through a recommendation of a book talk. Crazy. Just goes to show that you can still sometimes trust book talk recommendations. But I found Reign and Ruin and I read it earlier this year, and the magic system, the characters, just the character depth as well, and the political intrigue, all of that bundled up together is honestly like the perfect fantasy world. J.D. Evans is such a master of her craft, which is crazy, insane. I need to stop saying crazy, it's insane, because I believe Reign and Ruin was her debut book. I don't know if she's had writing experience previously, but to write a book this good as your first book. So Reign and Ruin and also Storm and Shield take place. It's kind of a fantasy world set in the Ottoman Empire. It's also a little bit inspired by Lebanon, because I think JD traveled there for work and she got really inspired and like really immersed herself in the culture and came away and wrote a couple of fantasy books. Now, the magic system in this world is so cool. It is based on elemental magic, which has been done before, but JD Evans has a kind of wheel system where different powers balance each other out. So water and fire balance each other out, earth and air, creation and destruction. It's so cool. It's so cool. And there's also different like levels to this amount of power that you can have. Not everyone has the same amount of power. Some people are more powerful than others. And we've also got in Reign and Ruin, we have a woman rising to power. The patriarchy is scrambling, and they let it be known in this book, but the Sultana, the heroine, the woman coming into power, she is beautiful and she's incredible and she's so smart and talented, and she is the definition of, I'm gonna let you underestimate me so that I can come back around. You can let your defenses down, you can let your guard down, and I can kick you in the ass. And I can smite you down. I love her so much, and her love interest is such a simp for her, but in such a beautiful way, like not in a gross and cringy way. He is just so devoted to this woman, and he leaves his entire life behind to come to her city and like devote his life to her. It's so good. And Storm and Shield equally followed up the brilliance of Reign and Ruin. Our heroine in this book is an assassin fleeing her city because it's become very corrupt, and our main male character is the head of the palace guard for the Sultana, and there's this really kind of forbidden aspect to it, and it's just, oh my god, it's incredible. I am so happy that I get to mention these books first up in this video, because if you've not read them, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? If you can take any recommendation from this video, let it be these books. Some of the best fantasy I've read. Some of the best romance I've read too, actually, which I may be new to fantasy, but I am not new to romance. So let me give you this recommendation. Take it, just add it to your Goodreads when you feel like it. Give them a little read. The writing style also so poetic, so beautiful. I can't praise these books enough. They're just incredible. But we're gonna move on to the next question, because I've been rambling on for 10 minutes and we've got a lot of books to get through. I have a couple of big piles right here. A little bit of an easier question next up. We're gonna talk about the new releases I haven't read yet this year, but that I want to. Now, I have 3. You guys have heard me talk about them before. 2 of them are on my TBR this month. But the first one is Shield of Sparrows by Devney Perry. Devney Perry, she really caught my attention with this one because it was originally marketed as, and I don't know if it still is because I honestly don't keep up a lot with the bookish space and like new releases, but it was originally marketed as Cinderella meets The Witcher. Now, if you know me, you know I love The Witcher 3 video game. It's probably the best game I've ever played. Maybe behind Red Dead Redemption 2, but she's up there. The whole world, so immersive. The monsters, crazy. Geralt. Geralt? I love that man. I love that man. And so to have a book, a fantasy romance book, hit the market and hit all of those niches for me, this book's gonna go crazy. And I feel like crazy is my favorite word today, but it's gonna go crazy. I'm so excited to read it. It is a monster. She's a mammoth, of course, but the font is quite big, so we've got to take that into account a little bit. But I'm so excited to read this one. I'm so excited. It's also, I believe, there's a knight, which low-key knights, I haven't read a lot about them, but in movies, some of my favorite characters, some of my favorite archetypes. So I'm really excited for this one. The next new release I'm excited for, I have 3, as I said. The second one is The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. This one, again, we have a knight, but we also have a mystery and a gothic setting. So our main female character, she works as a sort of future predictor. She dreams the future and people come to her and they're like, help. All of her colleagues start disappearing and she scrambles, understandably, and recruits the help of the knight, and I believe it's going to be their romance as they trek across this fantasy realm, as they get over their hate for each other because he's a prick. I've read the first chapter of this book. He's a prick. I'm really excited to read this one as well. Cover is beautiful, but we're going to talk more about that later. And now the third book that I am so heavily anticipating, potentially, probably, definitely actually, my most anticipated read of the year. It is A Curse Carved in Bone by Danielle L. Jensen. Why I don't have the paperback is because Bestie Claire is borrowing it, and I saw her yesterday and I asked her how it's going, and she said it was tea. She said it was tea. She said it was doing everything that we were hoping it was doing. So my expectations, astronomical, through the roof. Hopefully it can live up to my expectations. I am so excited for this book. It's the sequel to A Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle L. Jensen. It takes place in a Norse mythology inspired setting. They're Vikings. Miss Girl is just kind of discovering and coming into her power, and the love interest has really screwed her over. So I'm so excited to read this book and see them mending their relationship and to see her like fully embrace her power and come into her like full final form. I'm so excited! Now, following on with that little new releases train, the next question is for my most anticipated new releases for the second half of the year. The first one that I'm really excited for is The Fallen and the Kiss of Dusk by Carissa Broadbent. This is the second book in her how do I describe it? It's the 4th book in her Crowns of Nyaxia series, but it's the second book in a new duology, in the second duology within, I think there's gonna be 6 books. So book 3 and 4, it's book 4. The first book I have on my bookshelf, The Songbird and the Heart of Stone. I haven't read it yet because I've been waiting for the second one to come out, but I'm highly anticipating it. It follows Misha and a kind of like, how do I describe him? A enemy prince, actually. But I loved the first 2 books in the Crowns of Nyaxia series. Rain and Aurea, I'm riding hard for them. And we also got introduced to Misha in those first 2 books, and she is just the light of my life. She's the light of my life, and she's the light of Araya and Rain's life as well. She's beautiful, she's incredible, but I can tell she's got a little bit of a murky past, so very excited for her book. It is vampires, if I didn't say that. The second book that I'm also really excited for to release later this year, which I think is releasing later this year if I interpreted this right. Hannah Grace has signed a 5-book deal with Piatkus and Atria. I think I said that right. She signed a 5-book deal, and in the little like publishing recruitment announcement thing, it said that publishing would begin in September 2025. So to me, that reads as she's releasing something this September, which I'm so excited. I loved Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. Didn't love Wildfire as much. Also enjoyed Daydream, but I think it maybe sagged a little bit. But I love Hannah Grace's writing. She's such a like comfort author for me. I know when I go into her books, I'm gonna like the characters. You know, they might not get up to the most in the books, but I know that I'm gonna have a good time. So excited for that book. Have no further details on it. Don't know if it's gonna be a sports romance, don't know if it's gonna be small town, don't know what's gonna go on with it, but I'm excited. Our next question is for the most beautiful book that I have bought this year, and there, to me, is a clear winner. The Night in the Moth, once again, I just think this cover is stunning. I love the foils so much. I'm a little bit tempted. If I like this book, I'm a little bit tempted by the hardback because the art is actually a little bit bigger on the cover. So like you can see more of her face, and you can see she's wearing a blindfold, and you can see her hair. So if I like it, I might just cop the hardcover. Nothing really on the back. I am just obsessed with the foiling and the composition and the kind of like flowy wateriness of her dress, and then like obviously the armor to, I guess, reflect maybe who she becomes. I'm not quite sure, but I just think this cover is beautiful. All right, we are now gonna flip the switch a little bit, and we are gonna talk about the most disappointing books that I have read so far. Now, brace yourselves, pretty please. This is Quicksilver by Callie Hart. I didn't like this book. I did vlog it in a reading vlog where I went quite in depth on my thoughts and pulled it apart a little bit. So I'll link that down in the description as well if you want to watch me lose my mind. Kind of just everything from the plot felt really disjointed. I didn't like either of the main characters. They were both just quite immature, which like understandable at the start of the book, but when I'm 500 pages in, the romance also went from like 0 to 100 and was not slow burn at all, really, especially considering this is, I believe, going to be a slightly longer series. I just didn't like it, and I didn't like the writing style. It was a bit too, again, disjointed and kind of juvenile, but it felt like it was trying to be really pretty and prosy, but it just didn't come across, and it kind of fell short for me and felt just a little bit cringy. That's just my opinion. I personally just didn't like Quicksilver. If you loved it, I'm so happy for you. But yeah, everyone has individual tastes in books, and that is the beauty of reading. And unfortunately, Quicksilver just didn't work out for me. The second most disappointing book for me this year was Sin and Redemption by Cora Riley. I believe this is a standalone in her Mafia world. It's like, we know all the characters from her Born in Blood and Kimura Chronicles. We know them all. But it's next gen from that series, and she wrote it as a standalone for some reason. I didn't like this book. I didn't like it. This one, I have heard it be compared to, I think, Still Beating by Jennifer Hartman, the one where they get kidnapped and kind of Stockholm syndromed and fall in love while they're kidnapped. That's this one. But they only are kidnapped for about 30 pages of the start of the book, and they're also forced to sleep together in that time, and then they're rescued, and they're kind of just like, hey, let's forget about it, that was really traumatic, I don't want to think about it, let's just move on with our lives. And then they discover that the heroine's pregnant, and you know, he steps up, understandably so, but it's just, I don't think it was written with as much care as it needed, and I also think it was quite messy, very back and forth. Never really felt like there was any connection between the two characters. They didn't even talk to each other, to be honest. So yeah, Sin and Redemption by Cora Riley. I didn't like it. I think I have actually, and I've been thinking about this because Cora is coming out with a new book sometime soon. I've been thinking about it, and I think this was my last straw for Cora Riley. I love her. I hold Born in Blood and Kimura Chronicles very, very close to my heart, very tight on my heart. I love those series so much. But I think this is my final straw with her and her Next Generation series. I think that's it. I think that's it from me, and that's a big step because I'm in a toxic relationship with Cora Riley. And this is me giving you permission to bring up this video when I pick up another one of her books. I didn't like Sinner Redemption whatsoever. I did vlog this one as well, actually. I'm gonna have to link all my reading vlogs down in the description if you guys want my fully fleshed out crash outs. But yeah, didn't like it. All right, now moving on to the biggest surprises. We're coming back, bringing the positive vibes back. The first one is a book that I finished 2 books ago. This is The Crimson Moth by Kristen Ciccarelli. Now, this is a young adult fantasy romance. I don't read young adult. I tend to stay away from it. Not necessarily because of the writing style or because of the storytelling. I just quite simply like a little bit of steam in my books, and surprisingly this one delivered slightly. It was just alluded to, definitely faded to black, but it satisfied me enough, okay? Why am I talking about this? Anyway, The Crimson Moth, as I said, I don't read young adult, so this one was a very pleasant surprise for me. The story, the plot was definitely predictable. I think I predicted the big twist at the end as soon as that certain character was introduced, but I still had a good time with it. I enjoyed the writing. It was so easy to read. I think that definitely is a positive of young adult books, is that they're really easy to digest. I also really enjoyed both of the main characters, and I have the sequel sitting on my bookshelf over here for when I'm ready. The other book that was a very nice, pleasant surprise is The Favourites by Lane Fargo. This, how do I describe it? I think I went into it expecting to like it, but I didn't go into it expecting to enjoy it quite as much as I did. It's very reminiscent of Daisy Jones and the Six. It's also, no. I was gonna say it's also reminiscent of From Look Off With Love but by Mariana Zapata, but that's simply just because it's figure skating or ice dance. But this one very pleasantly surprised me. I really enjoyed the storytelling style. It goes between kind of flashbacks and news articles that were being reported on at the time, and the plot is basically just that we're following 2 ice dance partners. They're in a partnership for some of the book. We're just following those 2, predominantly the heroine on her rise to fame, her struggles with ice dancing, her struggles with the media, and just trying to find her place in the world. And yeah, it's a really good book. I really enjoyed it, and I'd highly recommend it. Oh, the next question is very simple, very easy to answer. It is asking about my new favorite author, or new to me favorite author, I should say. Quite obviously, it's JD Evans. I've given her, both of her books 5 stars, but that's also a later question, so let's reel it back in. I love JD Evans. What can I say? She is my new favorite author in general, but also new favorite author to me this year. Now we're gonna talk about my new favorite crush. I have 2 because I'm greedy and I can't make up my mind. The first one, they're both very similar genre of man, to be honest. The first one is Wes from Swift and Saddled. I just really enjoyed his character. He's a very softly masculine man, if that makes sense. He's very masculine, but he's soft in his mannerisms. He's soft in the way that he speaks to Ada and the way that he treats people, to be honest, and the way that he gets around in the world. He's also very open about his struggles with mental health, and I just want to hug him. I think it is the like very strongly masculine. He's a cowboy, okay? He's dealing with cattle all day and horses and like fixing things. But at the end of the day, he's a really soft, beautiful soul, and I love him. My second favorite crush is a little bit more predictable for me, I think. This is Aiden from Collide. He's a college hockey player, what can I say? But he's also just very gentle, very sweet, very golden retriever energy, but goofy, knows how to have a good time, but also knows when to settle down and be a little bit more serious. And I really like that. He also plays hockey. Did I mention that? Did I mention that? King, love him. The next question, I don't actually have an answer written down to, so we're gonna go off the cuff. I got so excited about this next question that I never actually told you what the question was, but it is for my favorite character, just in general. I think it's gotta be. I don't even know why I questioned it. It's gotta be Isel from Storm and Shield. Oh my god, she's the baddie assassin that I mentioned earlier. She rides so hard for her people, her family in particular, and she's also just so, she's just so loyal. I love her, and she's such a badass. She fights, she beats grown men up, puts them on their backside. I love her so much. She's just so cool. She's so iconic. She also beats up the main male character a few times, like bests him in a fight, which is really interesting because they have the opposing powers. She's air and he's earth, so the fight scenes go crazy. And she like sneaks into houses. She's like lock picking, and I love her. And she's everything that I want to be, minus the danger. But she's also things keep going back to me. She's also a little bit reckless, which I like in a character. She's blinded by her loyalty, which makes her become reckless in defending the honor of her people, if that makes sense. The next question is for a book that I've cried to. I need you guys to know I'm not a big crier at books. I don't cry a lot anymore, to be honest. Maybe I should say something about that. A book has to work really, really hard for me to shed a tear, but one of the books that did that was Swift and Saddle by Lila Sage, simply because I related to both of the main characters on an astronomical level, and to see them get their happy ending, it was happy tears. And to see them get their cutie little happy ending was really nice. Now, the second book that I cried to that I conveniently forgot about until this moment was The Crimson Moth by Kristen Ciccarelli. Something happened at the end of the book during the twist. Something went down, and I cried because it was very sad. And I don't want to spoil it for you, so you're not getting any more information out of me, but just know I cried. Now, on the opposite end of crying, we're going to talk about two books that made me really happy. First of all, Swift and Saddled. Okay, three books. First of all, Swift and Saddled made me really happy. Obviously, I cried. Second one, Lost and Lassoed by Lila Sage. This one also made me just very happy, very content. It was a really sweet ending. The characters both equally felt quite lost in their purpose and in their life, and seeing them get their happy ending at the end of the book and feel like they were actually fitting in somewhere and like they'd found their purpose and what they were meant to do at the end of the book was really, really nice. And then the other book that made me happy was The Wall of Winnipeg and Me by Mariana Zapata, and I was happy that I finished it because look at that. This book is 670 something pages, and I was happy when I finished it. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But this book, she was a slog to get through, but to get that like really nice happy moment at the end of it, Mariana Zapata does it so well. She makes you ache for like 600 pages, 650 pages, but those last 20, they're potentially the most beautiful pieces of literature I've ever read. They make me feel so many feelings, and to go through, as I said, 650 pages of just like constant rejection. Not even, I'm being so dramatic. But what I'm trying to get at is those last few pages are always so beautiful. Makes the whole book worth it, makes the entire Mariana Zapata experience worth it. So she obviously pulled it off again in The Wall of Winnipeg and Me, and I'm very happy that I read this book, and I'm pleased it's off my TBR, but I'm also very happy with the story. Next up, we are going to talk about the books that I have given 5 stars so far this year. There's actually 4, which I think is pretty good. I've had a pretty good reading year so far. A lot of books have been like 3.5 at 4 stars, but there is a few standouts. Obviously, 2 of them, Reign and Ruin, Storm and Shield. I feel like I've talked your ear off about these books, so I'm not going to go on about them anymore, but I love them. I gave them both 5 stars. I'm hoping the next one in the series is going to be 5 stars as well. Then the next book that I gave 5 stars, crazy. Maybe I was in a little bit of a silly, goofy mood. I don't know. But Lost and Lassoed by Lila Sage. I just really enjoy this book. It's a nanny romance, controversially. He is kind of in charge of the farm. He's taking the farm, slowly inheriting the farm from his dad as his dad kind of steps back and passes over the reins to Gus. And that's obviously causing him a lot of stress. He is also trying to support his baby mama's dreams. I don't even think they were ever in a relationship, but his co-parents, there's a word, I can't think of it. The mother of his child. He's trying to support her dreams, and she goes off to a big city nearby. Not even nearby. She goes off to a big city to follow her lawyer dreams, which leaves Gus full-time with Riley, his daughter, and he would do anything for Riley. He loves her to death, loves her so, so much, but having that kind of added pressure of having a child full-time as opposed to co-parenting obviously adds some stress and adds some time onto Gus's plate that he maybe can't deal with, can't quite physically keep up with, and it takes a really big toll on him mentally as he tries to juggle all of these things, which is where Teddy comes in. Teddy's just lost her job. She's kind of floating around, not really sure what she wants to do with her life, and she gets the opportunity to nanny for Gus. She's a family friend. Riley loves Teddy, and the story kind of goes from there. But it was just really, really sweet seeing Teddy bond with Riley, and also Gus kind of open his eyes a little bit to actually how great Teddy is, because it is an enemies to lovers. But something unfortunate also happens to Teddy, and seeing Gus kind of be there. They're not like in an established relationship or anything. There's still kind of some mutual animosity there, but something happens to Teddy, and Gus is this really solid figure for her, and like is the shoulder that she can cry on, and it's so sweet. I love it so much. The fourth book that has earned 5 stars from me this year is Heartstopper Volume 2. I've read Volume 1, 2 and 3. Volume 1 and 3 I gave 4 stars. I gave this one 5 stars. Do I remember why? Not really. This is the book I think where they actually acknowledge all of their feelings, and they kind of really come together and grow together. And this one was the pining, was the yearning, and then the eventual payoff from my memory, which is why I gave it 5 stars, because I love that so much. Pining and yearning, it's always gonna get 5 stars from me. What can I say? I hope you guys are buckled in, because I have a lot of books for this next question, and it is, drumroll please, books that I need to read or want to read by the end of 2025. First one, A Curse Carved in Bone by Danielle L. Jensen. Next two, we're speedrunning them because there's so many and I've already talked about these books. Next two is The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig and Sheila Sparrows by Debney Perry. I want to read these books so bad. Another book that I desperately want to read by the end of the year, and I'm hoping it happens this month, is Save the Cat Writes a Novel by Jessica Brody. I want to write a book. Crazy. But I don't have a lot of experience with plotting something, even with like drama and like the acts and the complex and how to build rising tension and how to entertain an audience. I don't have a lot of experience with it. I did English, advanced English in high school, and then I did a degree in biomedical science. So all of my English brain not present anymore. So I'm trying to reawaken it, and I'm hoping Save the Cat will help with that, and I also hope it will help me potentially plot a little book. I would also love to start this bad boy right here. This is Tales of Norse Mythology. She's beautiful. Simply because I want to feel smart. No, I want to actually like learn about some more history and some more mythology in general, and Norse mythology just seems to be the one that I'm most invested in. It's the one that I'm drawn to the most, and so I want to learn more about kind of little tales and archetypes so that I can actually implement them in my writing, so that my writing can have a little bit of a deeper layer to it. And hey, maybe I'll write a Viking book. But you didn't hear that from me. The next book that I really want to read this year is actually a bit of a wild card. This book was not on my radar whatsoever until a couple of days ago, but I've had a certain singer, and I'm not going to mention them because they're extremely controversial, don't deserve to be mentioned at all. But I've had them popping up on my For You page performing, and the song is really good, and I hate that I love it because they're such a not very nice person, but the song is incredible, and it's just reawakened this like rock star romance fixation in me. I was the fangirl, okay? Had a little bit of a dedication and obsession with some certain bands when I was younger, and this moment, seeing that man come up on my For You page, singing this beautiful song, has reawakened that in me, and I want to get my fix by reading a rockstar romance instead of hyperfixating on a really gross, toxic man. So yeah, if I didn't already say, the book that I want to read is The Choice by A. Jade. I read the words by her a year or two ago, 2 years ago maybe. Really enjoyed it. It's a rockstar romance again, but The Choice follows another one of the members from the band, and it's, I believe, like childhood friends to distant people or enemies. I don't know if it goes to enemies, but childhood friends, they separate to eventually come back around to lovers. And this book is simply only here because I need to fill that rockstar romance niche. I'll tell you the song. I will, but I don't support the band and I don't support the person. It's God as a Weapon by Falling in Reverse. Let it be known, I don't support the artist, but the song, it's made me spiral. The next book that I desperately want to read this year is Wild and Wrangled by Lila Sage. I feel like this one is pretty self-explanatory. I loved Swift and Saddled and Lost and Lassoed, and I want to continue the series. Second last book that I would like to read before the end of the year is Yellowface by Rebecca F. Kuang. This one was on my 2025 anticipated TBR. My sister loved this book, gifted it to us for Christmas, me and my family gifted it to us for Christmas, and I just really want to read it. I want to kind of expand past some romance and fantasy and actually get into some, I think, general fiction. Maybe it's a bit of a mystery, but yeah. I'm excited to read this one. Now, sticking with R.F. Kuang for 2 more seconds, another book that I want to read this year before the year is out is The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. This one, I believe, it follows a Chinese history dynasty situation. Miss Girl is the chosen one. She goes to this, I think, like military academy. And yeah, I believe she kind of gets caught up in a war. The Poppy War? Hey. But I'm intrigued by this one because I've heard that it has very dark, very heavy content, which sometimes I like reading about. Sometimes I like being a little bit depressed. The next question, the second last question, you guys were almost there, is for a book that I want to reread this year. I have 2. One of them is probably a little bit more realistic than the other, but the first book that I really want to reread this year is A Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle L. Jensen. I really want to reread this one to jog my memory before I go into A Curse Carved in Bone. It's gonna happen. I will be reading it. But yeah, I really just want to re-experience this book. The second book that I would like to reread, but I don't know how realistic it is Sea of Ruin by Pam Godwin. I've got a little bit of a hyperfixation on pirates as well as rock stars, apparently, at the moment. And yeah, I would just love to reread Sea of Ruin. I love, controversial, love James Norrington, and so the fact that we get a little romance with a Commodore in this one, it makes me go a little crazy. I'm also highly anticipating Victoria Aveyard's Tempest coming out next year, which is hopefully going to fill that little pirate niche for me. But for right now, Sea of Ruin is the closest I can get, and yeah, maybe, hopefully, I would like to reread this one this year. Alright, now we have 5-star predictions. I'm getting a little bit loopy. I've been here for an hour. I have 3. Can you guess what they are? I've mentioned them already in this video. The first one is The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. I've seen a lot of praise for this book. I think I'm probably gonna love it as well, as long as I like Rachel Gillig's writing. You know, I've never read anything by her before, so I'm potentially going in a little bit blind. It may not be a 5-star, but I think it will be. I think it will be. I think the plot has a great premise that I think I'm gonna really like. Then, once again, self-explanatory, because I feel like I've crapped on about this book a lot already. Shield of Sparrows by Devney Perry. Simply put, fantasy romance set in a Witcher setting? Yeah! If Devney Perry pulls that off, it's getting 5 stars. And then the third and final book that I think I'm going to give it 5 stars this year is A Curse Carved in Bone by Danielle L. Jensen. It's the sequel to my favourite book of last year, and I'm really excited to read it. I think I'm going to love it. I just love the Norse and Viking setting so much, and I also love the characters, and from everything that I've heard from Bestie Claire about this book, my hopes are high, and I think I'm pretty safe in predicting that I'm going to give it a 5-star. But let's not jinx it. And oh my god, with that we have reached the end of this video. I feel like, well, I have been talking for an hour, and I feel like I've been talking for an hour. But thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you've enjoyed it. If there's any similar books, if we share any of the same books that you're hoping to read, or that I'm hoping to read, or that you've read and that I've read, I don't know, definitely let me know down below. I would love to hear about some of the books that you're looking forward to later in the year as well. I'm definitely a little bit blind to all of the new releases that are coming out. Thank you guys so much for watching. Once again, if you did enjoy this video, please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, because I would love to have you here. I'm hopefully going to be seeing you in a reading vlog next week. I'm reading the Book of Azrael. Well, anyway, thank you guys so much for watching for like the 3rd or 4th time, and I will hopefully see you in the next one. Bye!